If you look at your life and see a graveyard of half-finished projects, a yoga mat gathering dust, a skincare business that never launched, a closet full of art supplies, and a sudden urge to learn coding, you probably feel a very specific type of shame. Society has a word for women like you: unfocused. They tell you that you're scattered, that you lack discipline, that you need to just pick something and commit. You feel like a fraud because you can't stay in one lane. You might even call yourself a jack of all trades, master of none, and use it to beat yourself up. But you're forgetting the rest of the quote. The full version is, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. And here's what psychology says: this feeling of being all over the place isn't a character flaw. It's a sign of a highly adaptive mind. You aren't failing to focus. You're unconsciously building what researchers call an M-shaped mind. While the world tells you to narrow down, your brain is preparing you for a future where rigid specialization is actually a weakness. Before we break down why your so-called chaos is actually strategic brilliance, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And if you love psychology that actually explains you, then this channel is for you. Here we break down women's psychology that resonates with you, so stay around. With that being said, let's begin today's topic. To understand why you feel this guilt, we have to look at the lie you were sold. For decades, women were told to choose career or family, creative or practical, serious or fun. The world rewarded women who stayed in their box. Be the nurse, not the doctor who also paints. Be the teacher, not the entrepreneur who also writes poetry. It was a T-shaped game. One deep expertise, one identity. But here's the thing. You don't live in that world anymore. Your brain instinctively knows the modern landscape is constantly shifting. Careers disappear. Industries transform overnight. The rules change faster than anyone can keep up. In this environment, the specialist is vulnerable. If their one thing becomes obsolete, they're lost. But you naturally explore. 1 year, you're deep into graphic design and interior decorating. Next, you're learning about nutrition, starting a blog, and getting into photography. To an outsider, this looks chaotic. They might call you flaky or indecisive. But what you're actually doing is gathering knowledge from completely different worlds. And this is where the magic happens. Psychology calls this far transfer. The specialist uses near transfer, solving problems they've seen before with the same tools. But you use far transfer. You take a concept from one completely unrelated field and apply it somewhere unexpected. Think about the woman who used to be a dancer and a barista, and now runs a successful UX design agency. On paper, those things have nothing to do with each other, but her understanding of movement and rhythm from dance informs how she thinks about user flow. Her years of reading people's moods at the coffee shop taught her empathy and observation skills that make her design deeply human. She's not just making websites, she's choreographing experiences. That's far transfer. That's innovation. You feel like an imposter because you're not the absolute best at any one thing, but you're missing the point. Your value isn't in your depth. It's in your ability to connect dots no one else can see. Now, understanding that your curiosity is actually a strength feels good, but it doesn't solve the immediate problem, the burnout, and the feeling of being behind. You see women your age making partner at their firms or becoming department heads, and you feel like you're still figuring out what you even want to be. This happens because you're misunderstanding your own design. You're not T-shaped, one area of expertise with general knowledge. You're M-shaped. An M-shaped woman has multiple areas of depth connected by a thread of curiosity. But here's the trap women fall into. You try to build all the pillars at once. You try to launch the business, get the certification, master the craft, and be everything to everyone all in the same season. And then you collapse and call yourself a failure. The women who successfully navigate this life, the true modern Renaissance women, practice what's called serial mastery. You have to think of your life in seasons, not as one linear path. You might spend your 20s exploring art and travel and self-discovery. Then in your 30s, you pivot into a stable career to build security. You didn't abandon your creative side. You just finished that chapter on building. I know a woman, 47 years old, who finally made peace with this. 4 years, she felt torn between her love of writing and her work as a project manager. She thought she had to choose. But then she realized she didn't have to merge them or pick one. She let project management be the pillar that paid the bills and gave her structure. And writing, philosophy, and mentoring younger women became the other pillars she nurtured on evenings and weekends. She turned down promotions that would have demanded 60-hour weeks. She protected her energy. She didn't try to do everything at once. She let her interests exist in their own time. And eventually, those worlds started informing each other. Now she writes about leadership and works on a book about modern women navigating career complexity. That's the M shape in action. Sequential, not simultaneous. There's one final trait you have that makes you almost unbreakable, and it comes from evolutionary biology. It's called redundancy. In nature, redundancy is strength, not waste. Some species survive catastrophic events because they've built in backups. Your varied interests are your redundancy. If you're only a marketing specialist and that industry shifts, you're scared. But if you're a marketer who also knows graphic design, can teach, understands psychology, and has experience in event planning, you're resilient. You haven't been wasting time dabbling. You've been building what researchers call strategic adaptability. You've been creating a safety net of skills that means no matter what happens to the economy, to your industry, to your circumstances, you have options. You can pivot. You can rebuild. You can adapt. And let's be real. As a woman, you've probably already had to pivot more than most men ever will. Maybe you took time off for family. Maybe you moved cities for a partner. Maybe an industry didn't welcome you the way it welcomed men. Your ability to shift, to learn, to start over, that's not a bug. That's a feature. That's your superpower in a world that's constantly changing the rules on women anyway. So stop apologizing for your graveyard of hobbies. Those weren't failures. They were researching. They were semesters at the university of you. You were never meant to be just one thing. You were built to be the bridge between worlds that others can't even imagine. If you're ready to stop feeling guilty and start seeing your M-shaped mind as the gift it is, drop a heart emoji in the comments. You're not scattered. You're strategic. And it's time you knew that.